Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome. You are on the mountain with Rick and Luke, and it is time to talk some Splinterlands. But first,
Hey, hey,
coffee.
dude,
How do you
coffee. Let's
how
go.
do you take your coffee, Luke?
Um, I just like it with a little half and half. That's about it. Just kind of straight up, here around Portland, we got some good beans, so
Right.
we
Definitely
don't
important
need
to have good
you don't need to
caffeine.
add much to sugar or syrup. Like no. We got good coffee by itself. Just add a little cream to bring out the little smoothness in it, and then you're good to go. That's
I,
about it.
I am a big fan of black coffee myself. Every once in a while, I'll use a little bit of creamer. Pretty much never anything that I got to stir into it. Although the other day,
Right.
wifey did make some with some brown sugar in there, and that was a nice little
Okay,
treat.
brown
So
sugar.
definitely no
I haven't heard of
complaints.
that before.
I mean,
Interesting.
I'd be lying if I said I never thought of it, but I'd never done it before. So,
Okay.
and it actually turned out really nice. So, no
This
complaints.
yeah, this
I
sounds
thoroughly
decent.
enjoyed it. Uh,
Sounds like a good winter drink.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Although winter, we don't know what that is down here in Florida. That's
Uh yeah, well, I saw someone in the chat asked how's the weather in Portland, and funny thing is this is the first real snow we got of the year, so it's kind of clearing up now. The last 3 days we've had little mini snow days, nothing crazy, but
first snow though. That's insane.
first snow in town. So we get a ton of rain, freaking all 9 months of the year, but snow in town is a little bit more rare. Like we'll get snow up in the mountains and higher elevation, but where we live is a lot lower, so not as
And you're
much snow.
Portland, Oregon, right?
Yeah, just outside.
Not Portland, Maine, because opposite sides. Still just as far
Not
north, right?
Portland, Maine. Nope. And then if I say Vancouver, Washington, people are like, "Oh, Vancouver, Canada." I'm like, "No,
No, although at least those ones are
not
significantly
Canada."
closer, right?
Yeah, they're about 6 hours apart, but close, way
As
closer
opposed to,
than us
3,000 miles
Maine.
on the other
Yeah.
side of the country.
Correct.
Well, go ahead and take a moment to introduce yourself. Definitely
Sure.
glad to have you on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me here. If you don't know me, my name is Luke. So you can just find me on Twitter, Luke underscore P2E. Basically, most people would probably know me from starting my own channel. I've been doing a bunch of YouTube content stuff for a while, but my own Web3 channel was back in, oh gosh, 2021, August, September. So, man, coming up on a year and a half now, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Right?
And yeah, from there, I've been doing less with that, but got my start with Splinterlands, jumped on with Balthazar because my own content wasn't enough to sustain me full time. So with them, I'm covering all things Web3 gaming, Illuvium, Star Atlas, random, Web3 indie game, throwing the name there. Like whatever comes across my desk is what I'm covering. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
What was your introduction to gaming? What was your first game?
Whoa, like ever?
Yeah, like ever.
Game like ever. Oh my gosh. So that's a long freaking time ago.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
So yeah. I grew up. My dad was a gamer, so as soon as I was like 2 or 3, he has me holding the controller, like acting like I'm playing. I'm watching him. Yeah. So first system was Sega Genesis. So games that come to my mind would be like Sonic, random games. Maybe some people have never heard of them. Toe Jam and Earl was like a classic.
Never
Like
played Toe Jam and Earl, but I know
oh,
of it. Yeah, I
it's a
was a
really great
Nintendo
stoner
kid,
game.
so
I've not played high, but it's a great. It's designed by stoners. You can definitely tell.
yeah, absolutely. And
um,
one would imagine that when you were first playing it, you were a little young to really get that part of the concept.
no, it's just like it's a cool alien kind of weird world. Like, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, just kind of random games like that. Battletoad, Simpsons games, and then from there, we kind of graduated from Sega a few years into my life to PlayStation One, and then PC gaming back in the early days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a progression, and it's amazing just the leaps and bounds that the technology makes. Like from
Oh
where we
yes,
were to where we are now, and then like yeah, it seems like we're kind of starting from scratch with Web3, but
Yeah,
even the leaps and bounds that we're making here, like it's how long is it going to be before we catch up? Not that long, and I
hopefully
love it.
not. Yeah, I think we got a couple more years probably till we're really scratching through, but we got some good stuff cooking in Web3, and it's exciting to be a part of it this early.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what is your favorite Web3 game for fun
Oh
or for profit?
gosh.
If you had to pick one for either or.
Uh, well, I'll just go out and say profit to me doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, most games nowadays you're talking about, unless you're a massive whale, maybe you're making a couple bucks a month, right? Which
Yeah,
again, like respect to the countries and economies where that really goes, far, but for me it doesn't. Like,
right.
that buys me a bagel for lunch. That's about it. So, I'm not overly concerned with that. I think what I still play the most is Splinterlands. That's where I got my start, as I said. I've had my ups and downs with it, but still here, still playing. I don't know if it's not necessarily the game, like my go-to game where I'm like, this is my favorite genre of all time. Like I really enjoy the game. I enjoy TCGs, but I'm much more of like into shooters or MMOs or MOBA, stuff like that. But I think with where Web3 gaming is at right now, I can't really say any other game is my favorite because there's just nothing really out. Like everything I'm testing and playing, it's like, hey, here's this early alpha or beta version. Like it's not playable like to the extent it should be, right? As a fully released game. So it's hard to say like, oh yeah, Illuvium's my favorite or Undead Block's my favorite or all these other games because it's like I've gotten a taste of them, but they're not released yet. So how could I say they're my favorite, right?
Yeah, I get you on that 100%. Um, I'm still very much like Splinterlands is home for me. I play a bunch of other things, but yeah, it's like Splinterlands is pretty much the beginning and the end. Uh,
Yeah.
there's just everything
Does
else is
anything
kind of
come close to it for you?
um not really. I
Like, is
mean,
there a second place? No. Okay.
I was doing really good on Realm for a while on Wax, but it took so much time like throughout the day. It's not like Splinterlands where you could leave
Yeah.
it all day long and then devote an hour or two to it and then leave it
Right.
for another day. Like Realm, you've got to be active the entire time, all day long, and it is just like it's so counterproductive to life in general that I've
Yep.
had I had a few leaders on scholarship, and I just returned them to the owner. And I'm still on there, but I'm running like one or two missions a day. I'm not doing the daily missions. I'm just
Right.
kind of really low key in it, and pretty much I can't say that everything I have from Realm is on the market, but that's only because I don't have enough RAM to put it all on the market at the same time. So as things sell, like
Right.
it's all going up, it's all available, and I'm kind of on my way out of Realm
Sure.
just because of that. But I really enjoyed the
Yeah.
gameplay. Like it was a beautiful game, and when I first started playing it, like it reminded me a lot of old school Command and Conquer, which like playing with my brother back in the day, like it was very reminiscent. Just between the graphics and the gameplay and whatnot, it was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, it's interesting hearing like some people will be like, yeah, I have, NFTs across like 20 to 30 different games. I'm like, why? Like, you just like collecting them? Like, are you renting them out or something? Because there's no way you're actually getting to that many games, right? Like, at most, you're
I
getting
do
to like
have a
three.
lot of NFT games. I got NFD, I got Taco, I got Rising Star. Ones I have quit are D Crops, D City. Realm is on the way out. Woo, I quit.
Right. So
But
how
my
many can you actively play though? That's my point, right? Is
Well, yeah. Splinterlands is definitely the main one. I really enjoy Warsaken. I can't wait for
Oh, really?
standard
Okay.
Warsaken to
Cool.
come out because I don't particularly care for the heavily RNG aspect of the Blitz game. But I'm definitely looking
Sure.
forward to standard. The gameplay is beautiful. The mechanics are awesome. Those cards are spectacular looking. And I really enjoy like the rarity system and whatnot. There's a lot of things that I feel are awesome about Warsaken, and it's got a lot to grow. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at actually one of my later questions is maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't, Astral Revelations. Are you at all familiar with them?
I don't think so. No.
They're another Hive game that actually
Okay.
you've probably heard of New and X. He's the one that turned me on to them. He's a fellow
Mhm.
Splinterlands TV streamer and one of the OGs from Rising Star, also OG for Splinterlands.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
and he's actually doing the music for Astral Revelations. That's how he found out about it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And he turned me on to it. And they're gonna have a beta next quarter, and then full gameplay Q4. And I am very looking forward to that. It seems like it's going to be a really nifty system. The way that they've kind of got almost an open world to explore, almost kind of Pokemon style, how you gotta collect more avatars by catching them in the wild, and yet
Nice.
there's like limits to how many you can hold based on what your home base is, and they kind of got their land aspect, but it's not like any kind of land I've ever seen before. It's more like your home base, kind of almost like a demi-plane. If you've ever played like D&D, anything like that,
Mhm.
where
Yep.
you
Yep.
kind of got
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my introduction to gaming. Is D&D
Heck
way
yeah.
back in the day.
Let's go. Yep. We're
Uh,
still playing.
oh, awesome. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's too bad you're so far away because I'm actually trying to get a campaign going that I've
Oh,
been working
nice.
on for like 20 years. Like
20 years.
yeah, I've been
Dang.
developing my world. Actually, give me 1 second.
That's amazing. Trying to think of if I've 20 years of working on something. That sounds like a time.
This is my world. It's called
Whoa.
Galil, and when I say I started the changes from the ground up, I'm literally referring to the fact that the planet you live on is a cube. So
Right.
that's something that it's grown with me throughout all the different versions of D&D
That's
and
sweet.
expanding into Pathfinder and whatnot. And
Heck yeah.
like I've taken sources from all of the other games that I've played along the way, and basically taken all of the best parts from all of those uh, different versions of D&D and kind of
Nice.
combined them. And I'm very excited to get it going again. It's been a long time since I played it, and unfortunately, I'm kind of rebuilding it from the ground up now. Like I've got my physical representation
Ooh.
of my world, but most of my notes and all of my books and whatnot are all in a storage unit that I no longer have access to.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, kind of stuff that
Sucks.
I lost in the divorce and whatnot. But
Gotcha. Gotcha.
that it's like I've got all of the storyline and everything like that up in my head, and I've got like 100,000 year future and a 350,000 year history, and like I've got like potentially
Oh my gosh.
world-ending events that are happening like every 100 to 150 years. Like it's the
Oh my
type of
gosh. What,
place
so
where
so when's the book series coming out?
that's why I want to actually run the campaign for a good long time so that I can
There you
have
go.
all of the players take notes, collect
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
those notes, and then
That's
use that as
amazing.
the basis to write the book. Because like
Love it.
I've got all of the world stuff. What I'm missing is the characters, and I mean I've even got
Sure.
characters made up for it and whatnot. But as far as like their stories throughout, that's the part that's missing, and that's why I've never actually tried to write those, because that's not on me. That's on the player characters. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very excited to get that going. It's probably gonna be a little while before I actually launch it yet, because I do have so much rework to do,
Sure.
and some other priorities ahead of that as well, of course. But overall, I think it's definitely going to be
Yeah.
some fun, and I very much look forward to actually running it.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I just my brain doesn't work that way. My like my wife's cousin runs our campaign and stuff like that, and like just building out this incredible world. I'm like, how do you come up with this stuff? This is just crazy to
Well,
think
tell us
about.
about
But
your character.
cool. Well, my original character, is funny enough, is actually based off of Grum in Splinterlands, but
Nice.
I turned him into an artificer, so he's very intelligent and more inventive. So it's kind of this like, you'd expect an orc to be this like big brute, dumb kind of race, right? And to spin that a little bit and be like, hey, like, orcs can be smart too. They can help the world and invent stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
made my
it's
little
against
backstory based
type,
on that.
but there's nothing preventing it from being so.
Yeah. So we'll see. We're probably gonna end that campaign soon, so I got to come up with something new. So maybe you can send me some ideas.
I can definitely do that. Actually, there's a character concept I've been kind of kicking around in my head that I would love to actually put in play on a table. It would be something that it would be impossible to find a miniature for, but you could probably make one. Um,
Uh-huh.
I'm envisioning, imagine a centaur, right? Only he's
Yeah.
got a birth defect, so the human part is on backwards. So he's a bard, and his performance is cooking because he's got a built-in counter.
Oh my
He casts
gosh.
all of his buffs on the party by feeding them.
All right. Yeah. No, is very creative.
I come up with some
I would have
weird
not come
stuff.
up with that.
One of my favorite character concepts I ever came
Oh
up with was with
gosh.
my best friend up in Colorado. We spitballed for a little while, and we somehow ended up coming up with a complete backstory for a Drider, Paladin of Moradin.
Okay. Could see that. Let's go. Let's
Like
go.
things that you would not expect to see. Drider Paladin, Drider worshiping Moradin, a Paladin of Moradin. Okay, that last one's not too far out of the question, but like it's not
Yeah.
exactly
Like
the most common.
cleric
So.
cleric tiefling, why not?
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I love the inventiveness and the fact that you can just do absolutely anything, or at least try. Like
You
that.
can
That's what
certainly try, and you can at least roll for it. It might
exactly.
not work, but you can at least
Exactly. It
try.
might not work, but you can attempt it. Whatever you want to do. You brought up a Balthazar earlier, and I know you were also sponsored by Zen Sports before that and whatnot. So, how did you like go about that? How did that develop for you? Because I remember back in the
Yeah.
day, before you were on either of those, I was, I mean, you were actually one of the very first people that I followed. You were the first time
Oh,
I
really?
ever
That's
heard somebody say Rick on the
funny.
Mountain on stream. It was your voice saying it, and I remember it
No way. That's
vividly.
crazy. That's cool. Was I in a blue wig at that time?
No, but you were on my projector, so you were actually
Okay.
like life size up on the wall in my old
Perfect.
apartment, and
Perfect.
my lady was in the kitchen, and she heard it too, and she just turned around at me, and, like her jaw dropped, and I was like, "Yeah, you heard that? Yeah."
That's incredible. I love that. That's cool. Yeah, I love that about streaming, just the experiences and memories that, are associated with it. But yeah, I mean, going to your question, it's really funny that so I've done content stuff since 6 7 years ago, not Web3 related, just different, Steam games, and ran some amateur esports for Splatoon, stuff like that. But this Web3 experience is the first time I actually got sponsors or a job out of it, and you know, it, I could just be like, yeah, like look at all this cool stuff I've done. But the funny thing is, like everything that I've done, like they just found me, so it really wasn't on my end.
Fair enough.
So for Zen Sports, they contacted me. I had no idea who they were. They're like, hey, we were watching your channel. We're doing some tournaments of Splinterlands. We want to get you and a couple others on as sponsors. So I was like, okay, I'm looking into this. I'm like, I have no idea how to make a sponsor deal. No idea, like, is this even a legit company? So, I did some research. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, they seem nice. Like, I can respect what they're doing. So yeah, that's how it really came about. Is they struck up a deal with me that was like, yeah, I'm trying to do this full time. Any income coming in will be huge help. So I did that, and same thing with Balthazar. They found me through my Splinterlands videos. They were doing their massive research report on Splinterlands. They pulled up some of my videos on earnings and trying to estimate the research on that. And they're like, "Hey, we like what you're doing. We want you to come do some test work with us and see how it goes." and do some content for us. I'm like, all right. So, it's just one of those funny things is content creation, if you get a little bit lucky and you put in some hard work, some opportunities can come your way through it. And it's kind of fun that, it just
Absolutely.
opens
I'm
up doors that you wouldn't think it would.
kind of starting to get that ball rolling myself a little bit. I've had
Yeah.
a little bit of workings with some different platforms, some games and whatnot, and about ready to start making some announcements here coming up, which is super cool, and very glad to start getting out there more. And like I'm loving this interview series. Hopefully we can keep this going for a while as a
Yeah.
weekly thing. Had Crypto Stash on last week. That was
Yeah. I
that was
saw
a
that. That was
huge
great.
get, and definitely. Super stoked about that. I'm super stoked to have you on as well. Next week we're gonna
Yeah.
have Bebe Omega. And then
Ooh,
next month, I'm gonna be on the People's Guild podcast, which
nice.
I'm pretty stoked about that. And so yeah, the ball is definitely rolling, and this community is
Yeah.
just so awesome. I'm super stoked just to be a part of it. And were you watching the Weird Beard stream earlier to kind of ring in the last million packs worth of Chaos Legion?
I did not, but it's funny of how much time I spend on content, but how little time I actually spend watching content.
No, I totally understand.
It's
It's
just,
like
how it goes for me.
I do spend a lot of time consuming content as well. Probably more than I should. I should be doing more making. But even with as much time as I do spend, it's like I can't possibly keep up with even a quarter of what I want to. Because like I
Right.
would love to be able to watch all of your content and all of Dwayne's content and
Yeah.
all
No,
of Walking Keys and Gank and
impossible.
and After Sound and like so many amazing people that we
Yep.
have, and all of Splinterlands TV. But I mean, it's literally 24/7 now. Like you cannot
Yeah.
do it. And FOMO
No,
Fed aside,
it's
like I've always just to support the channel, always had it's always on 24/7. And I have two accounts. Normally, it's on both of them 24/7 just
boost
to
those
support the
numbers. Let's
channel.
go.
But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I can't pay attention to it. I'm gonna still have it running, but yeah. And then like, there's just so many amazing creators out there that it's impossible to keep up with anybody 100% of their stuff, let alone
Yeah.
everybody. So I'm
I think
just
that's
grateful
one
for
of
every viewer that I get.
the interesting strengths of Splinterlands too is that I think maybe specifically because it's a game that's not super intensive, right? You don't need this massive gaming PC to play Splinterlands. Like it's playable on all devices just because how easy it is to access, and I think that
Yeah.
makes it more open for anyone can just jump in and start making content. And so even though Splinterlands, the amount of actual humans playing is not that large compared to what it could be in compared to other games, right? It still has a pretty massive library of content and people that are creating for it, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't have the best computer. Like I can't actually. I've tried it before. I can't run marbles for giveaways while I'm on stream. Like I can run marbles if I'm not streaming, but I
Right,
cannot
right.
stream marbles.
Sure.
That's exactly where that breakpoint is, and it's like
Yep.
there's a lot of games that I'd be interested in playing. Like I would love to get into big time, but I don't
Yeah,
think my computer can handle big time even without streaming it, let
sure.
alone
Yep.
streaming big time. Like there's just
Exactly.
too much going on there, and my computer's not going to be able to deal with it. But
Yep.
I mean, that's just the limitations of the hardware, and we'll eventually get there. And I that's definitely my favorite kind of game is the MMOs. I lost way too much of my life to WoW back in the day.
Yeah, I grew up playing EverQuest since age of 5,
Oh
so that
wow!
was
I never
my
got into
childhood.
EverCrack, and
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly why that was. I went over to my neighbor's house when it first
Uh-huh.
started getting really big, and he was gonna let me create a character on his account. And then I went to create my character, and my name was taken. So I was like, "Forget this game. I'm done with it."
That's it. I'm out. I can't. No other names in my head. That's it.
I mean, no, I had plenty of others, but it was like how Psychodell. Like, that's a fairly not common name. It's not like, I'm named after some other
No,
character or whatnot. I've
right.
never understood why people do that. Like, Super Saiyan Goku 24897 Pi. Like, why? Why? You're not playing Goku. You're not a Super Saiyan. You're playing a skeleton barbarian. Like, you're not playing anything
I
that's
don't
even
know, man.
remotely close to Goku. You are not Goku. Why are you using Goku as your name? Like,
Right.
I understand you're a fanboy, but that's completely unnecessary. So, like, I've always come up with unique names and whatnot, and then, like, for that one to have been taken is like, with the
Right. That's
odd
pretty
spelling and
random.
everything, like, so it's just like, okay, well, I'll just move on to something else. Plus, I was never really a fan of the whole pay to play aspect. Like,
hmm Wasn't World of Warcraft that way though?
it was,
Uh,
but well, sometimes you toss your morals aside and just dive in
okay.
anyways, and
Yeah.
you get sucked in.
Who cares about my values? Just I will say I did eventually graduate from EverQuest, and middle school years was the RuneScape days for me. So
And RuneScape's another one I
yeah,
never actually got into. Like, I kind of, as far as MMOs, I dove headfirst into WoW, and that was really the only one I ever actually played. I
yeah,
never even got into like the Final Fantasy 11 and whatnot. All of their MMOs. Like the last Final Fantasy I played was 10. I
yep.
love the series, but like I had already learned my lesson at that point. Like,
Yeah, I think for me, for a while, was I started trial. I was into it. I was like, "This is great." And then at that point, my dad moved on from MMOs. He was like, at this point in my high school years, he was really into Madden, like getting into franchises online with real money on the line, stuff like that. So he was out, and I'm just like, I just don't have anyone to play with anymore, and it's kind of sad that I'm just like holed up in my basement playing. Like MMOs. That's the struggle, right? It's like they're so time consuming. You jump in for 30 minutes, and then you look at the clock, I'm like, that wasn't 30 minutes, that was 5 hours.
right?
What?
Yeah, I had the same kind of thing with Diablo as well. Like, it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would get home from work at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, hop on to chill out for a little while after a long day's work, and next thing I know it's 7 o'clock in the morning and everybody else in the house is waking up, and it's like, oh snap. And that, I mean, that's happened a
Yep.
couple of times even with Splinterlands, even streaming. Like, there have
Sure,
definitely
yeah.
been no shortage of times where, I mean, I start my stream at midnight, and like I'm scheduled to go for 2 hours, but everybody knows it's usually three, except for like Monday nights, Tuesday morning. I have Splinterlands TV from 2 until 4, so I'm going to cut my stream off at 1:30. But like every other night of the week, I'm scheduled till 2. I'm probably gonna go till 3. You might still see me on at 7. Like, it's definitely something that's not unheard of.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about streaming, though, right? Is that you're still getting in chats. Like it's a very community based thing. So it's not just like, hey, I'm playing this MMO for 8 hours by myself in the basement with no social interaction. It's like, no, I'm actually, in a very different way, still connecting with people as I play the game. And so it does create a different experience while you're streaming it as well, I think.
And yeah, I mean, with the MMOs, like, even if you're not streaming, like, it's still not like you're playing by yourself because you've got, however many thousand people that you're playing with. But it is a totally different experience when, chatting with other people that you're playing with versus chatting on Twitch while you're playing something. Like, it's a very different feeling, different community, and I love it. I can't believe it took me this long to get started, and now
Hmm
that I have, like,
You can't
it's life
stop
changing.
now. You're
Yeah,
hooked.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Especially like now that I'm on Splinterlands TV is also, and I know you and Dwayne both actually recently kind of
Yeah.
stopped off
Oh, I quit
Spell
first, so
TV.
he copied me. So
Well, I don't think we're fighting about who was first and whatnot,
I'm
but
just
it's just kind
I'm
of
just
interesting. Like,
kidding.
I can't even imagine like not being part of the Splinterlands TV team now. Like, it's it's part of my life, and it's a very enjoyable part, and like I'm just stoked to actually be even be part of it, and yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how I would move on from that. Like, I'm super stoked that it was
Yeah.
actually Jim Morgan that got me into the Splinterlands TV, and like I will be eternally grateful to him for that
Nice,
because
nice.
and Ron Don for
Heck
putting
yeah.
everything
I
together.
miss
Like,
Jim. I miss hanging out with him.
yeah, I don't imagine or like envying Rondon with all the work that he's got to do to keep
Oh
everything
my
going
gosh,
and
dude.
to organize like herd
It's an
what is it,
insane,
95
insane
cats.
job.
Like, there's 95 of
Dude,
us. That's insane. Yeah, I don't envy him
yeah,
for trying to
the
keep
fact
everything
that
together.
Splinterlands got him on and got him to do what he's doing, I mean, that kind of talent, I mean, he could take that to any game, anywhere, any streaming service, and so it's cool that Splinterlands has kept him
Yeah,
going because he's crushing it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
he's done such a
impressive.
great
That's
job
not an
putting it
easy
all
thing.
together,
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
everything going now to the point where we are 24/7. It's insane.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed my time with Splinterlands TV. My decision there is just mostly like, hey, my my schedule, my life stage right now. Like, I just don't want this like weekly 2 hour block where I have to commit to it every time, and especially with doing content, on Balthazar full time job, it's like there's just some days where I'm like, I don't even want to do my own content, or like
Right.
I've already done this all week. Like maybe I need to find some other hobbies as well. So,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like, it's
yeah,
not like I don't understand where y'all are coming from, and like for Dwayne, especially with his, his slot being Friday night, like
yeah,
that's a rough one. Sometimes you just want your Friday, and so like, yeah, nothing against either of y'all for leaving it and whatnot, and more power to you for realizing that this is what's going on in my life, and this is the right decision to make. It's kind of like when Aggie was forced to cut almost half the staff. Like, it sucks
yeah,
sometimes. It's a rough decision to make, but when you got to make that decision, then you make it and you move forward and you do the best you can. And like, obviously not quite the same type of thing. It's more of a positive decision for you, more of a negative
sure,
decision for him. But still, it's like
sure, sure,
that's where things are. That's what you got to do, and so you do it, and you move on. And so I really give y'all the props for that, and I'm just glad to be part of the team.
yeah. No kidding.
So
It's good,
Lily
good experience.
Shieldpaw is about to be upon us. How stoked are you?
Um, that's the dragon summoner,
That
right?
is the new Dragon Summoner, yes.
This is how out of touch I am with Splinterlands. Um, yeah, I don't know if I get excited for new cards, to be honest. I have gotten excited about the Soulbound cards, and we can talk about that here in a second.
That's definitely
I
something that's on the list.
the airdrops don't really interest me. For one, our scholarships. So I'm playing my own account. I'm playing a scholarship account with Balthazar. We aren't getting the new airdropped cards on the scholarship account, at least right now. So it's like I don't get to play test it there. My own account, I know at best with the amount of packs I buy, I'm lucky to get one. And so it's like the last two summers, I got one BCX. It's like, cool. What am I going to do with that? Because I'm playing in gold and diamond. I guess I either rent it out or I sell it. I don't have the funds to go, max it out, right? So for me, my deck strategy, I've changed completely on my own account. I was used to going to like the rogue patent move, which was like buy everything, bronze level, work your whip to silver, work your whip to gold, yada yada. Now I'm much more just like, there's been so many good max level BCX deals that I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna sell my silver cards, my gold cards, and when I see a 40%, 30% BCX deal on a max level Chaos Legion card, I'm just gonna buy that up. So I'm
Right.
running right now. Right now, I'm just running a max level Quicks, a max level Kelia that I got a good discount on a month ago, and then just kind of slowly buying up cards or renting cards. But I that means I don't get to play really all these new cards that cost $100 to $200 to max out because I just don't have the funds to do so.
Yeah, I
So to
get
me,
you.
it's not that exciting.
I'm kind of mortified at the fact that I'm going to be losing to Lily more than actually getting to play her because yeah, I've got
Right.
137 packs across two
Yep.
accounts, so my likelihood of getting it is pretty slim. Maybe I'll get one. Maybe best case I get two, but that's pretty unlikely. So, but I did luck out and I got a gold Quicks off of
Oh,
the
heck
streamer
yeah.
giveaways for FOMO Feb.
Nice.
And so, if I can somehow finagle turning that gold Quicks into a level 2 Lily, I'm
Okay.
gonna do that 100% because I think that she is either going to be the second best summoner we've ever seen up to this point next to
Really?
Kitty, or she's
Ah.
going to be better than Kitty. Like one or
So
the other.
remind me, it's camouflage,
Camouflage,
triage, and what
triage,
was
and plus one health.
the best? Oh, that's a spicy take. I guess we'll see.
I think the amount of or the amount of control that she gives you over your opponent's team. Like she makes sneak completely irrelevant. She makes snipe completely irrelevant. She makes opportunity
Yeah.
completely irrelevant. She makes fury completely irrelevant. Like that is
Sh-
four skills that are just entirely taken out.
Is Fury irrelevant? Because I guess well, what you're saying is you don't need a taunt card
You don't
because
need a taunt. It gives
right.
every card taunt without it being taunt. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more scatter shot being used nowadays, but
there is, but even the
even
triage,
then,
like
it's not great.
scattershot is. I mean, I don't know about your experience with scattershot, but for me, scattershot is number one. It's the worst thing that they ever introduced to the game. Not even Splinterlands. It's the worst thing that has ever come out in any game ever. Like I hate scattershot. When I use scattershot, it will target the worst possible creature every time until that creature has 1 HP, and then it will go
Oh
to the
my
second worst
gosh.
possible creature so that it doesn't kill anybody. And when scattershot is used against me, like I've literally played a game where it was a blast rule set, and so I had taunt in position 1, taunt in
Right.
position 6. I had reflection shield in position 2, reflection shield in position 5, and every single scatter shot attack went to position 2 and position 5, landed on my reflection shield so that it still blasted to both sides. And like that's my experience with scattershot. So I like but because of the triage, I still feel like even scattershot is not going to be a reliable way to get through a
Sure.
Lily team because even
Yeah.
with that, like you're not going to be bursting anything down because it's still going to be randomized where it's going, and the fact that there is that
Sure.
automatic triage from the summoner, plus you're going to have I imagine a lot of Lily teams are going to be running a healer and a triage. So, or maybe even two healers and a triage, or healer repair triage, so
Right.
that you're basically covering all of your bases. You're continually healing your
Yeah.
frontline tank,
I can see it. I can
and
see it.
then you've got two triages, or possibly two triage and a repair, going to wherever else they might be attacking with the scatter shot.
Yeah, I think it'll also depend on, league and what decks you're using with it. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, what can be strong about it. I think the thing that it doesn't get right, you're not getting any boosted stats to damage or damage reduction to the other team. You're not getting a speed or a shield buff. I think that's why things like Kitty are still going to be stronger than it. And I think they're trying to move away from the mistakes of untamed legendary summoners that were just way too powerful, right?
They're definitely
These
trying
ones
to move
these ones
away
feel
from
way
that.
more balanced. Yeah.
I don't
So
know. I honestly feel like that Lily could still be better than Kitty. Like they're neck and neck in my opinion. Like
yeah,
yeah, Kitty
I
has the heal and Lily has the triage, so they're pretty much the same there.
yeah,
Kitty has the +2 speed and the true strike, and those are both amazing. There's no doubt
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
But and Lily is coming at it from a completely opposite side of things. She is not offensive. She is totally defensive. But the fact, I mean, you can put something like Kraken or Coral Lurker in the front line
sure, yeah,
if it's not a ferocity rule set, or even something like Archimus. You can put Archimus in the front line. You've got a heal and a repair, or a tank heal and a repair, and like you're not going to be able to burst him down because he's already
yeah,
got the um,
Shield, Void,
Void. No, well, yeah.
Void armor.
Force field. The
Oh,
reduce,
Force.
yeah,
Yeah,
5 damage or more gets
5 damage.
reduced down to
Yeah,
1. And so, like with that, or I mean, you can put Mycelic Infantry up there, or I mean, anything. There's so many great options, and then you
sure.
even got stuff like Hydra and Cursed Windeku, like that just have a a buttload of HP, bring their own heal and thorns. So, or Minotaur Warlord, like I've got Magic Reflect and I've got Return Fire, and especially in a Briar Patch rule set, like no matter what you do to me, you're taking damage back.
Hmm.
I picked up a level 2 Minotaur Warlord after you remember when
Nice.
Matt Clark was giving away the orbs. I opened the first orb and I pulled him and I was like, oh, this guy is crazy. I looked at the stats and I was like, oh, that's nuts. So I ended up picking up 2 more copies just to get him to level 2, and then I started leveling
I
up my
love
Mylor. And I was like,
it.
that's a deadly
Right.
combination. Of
Yeah.
course, then I got up into Gold and Diamond, and he just does not work there because he just gets
Yeah.
melted. Like he
Oh,
doesn't
and
have the
yeah,
HP. So
that's the interesting thing is, right? It's like every level that you're in is going to have such different results where a summoner could be completely powerful in silver, bronze, gold. And then, I think one of the things going back to Kitty is like in diamond, speed matters so much because there's so many cards with swiftness and slows. You can easily manipulate team to give you just a 50-60% speed difference dodge chance. You stack that with flying and dodge, and there's just like sometimes you can't even hit
yeah,
a
like
card
my
unless
my
you have,
go-to team
you
right
know.
now is Ulrich, Oceanus, Ruler of the Seas, Spirit Miner, Phantom of the Abyss.
Yeah, well, that's another good point too. Is like, are you playing in modern or wild? Right, that's gonna make a difference for how this new summoner plays out. So I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
I mean, she will. I'm sure that there will be spots where she is less powerful
Yeah,
because of the different metas across leagues and whatnot. But I don't feel like there's going to be anywhere where she's not top tier. Like she might not be the most powerful thing, but just I mean, no matter where you are, bronze, silver, gold, diamond,
sure.
modern, wild, that level of control over the damage that your opponent can do is going to be strong regardless. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely going to be meta changing, and I mean we'll see kind of how it actually works out. I know I'm willing to be wrong, but I definitely feel
No,
like she's going to be super strong.
I don't think you're wrong. I just hope she's not too strong. Where, as you said, I get to lose to her more more often than I actually get to
Right?
play and win.
Yeah, absolutely understand that. So, what are your feelings on this one DEC fee for all listings that they're instituting?
um, I don't know if I've thought too much about it. I haven't been renting as much as I said. That's what I was doing heavily, and then I've pulled a lot of those cards to sell to buy some of those BCX discounts. So to me personally, it doesn't hurt me really because I'm only renting a few cards, and I think what it's probably going to do is probably going to hurt those who are renting out cards, right? Like it's going to make it much harder to use a system like Peak Monsters or Splex where it's auto renting and changing the prices all the time. Like those types of bots are either going to have to change or people are going to stop using them, I would assume, because why change a card from point one DEC to point two DEC if you have to pay DEC just to change the price? Like, it's not going to be worth it at that point.
Yeah, I feel like
So,
it's kind of an odd juxtaposition with that when you're talking about cards that are 0.1, 0.2 DEC, and I feel like maybe it should be a percentage rather than a flat 1 DEC fee. But at the same time, one of their stated goals is to encourage you to not rent out those 1 BCX cards and instead level them up so that you're doing fewer listings with the same cards. And I feel like overall it might actually make the rental markets more profitable because if it does encourage people to not change their prices as often, it's going to number one, it's going to be better for renters because even if you might be paying a little bit more, for your rentals, they're not going to be canceled on you and have the price changed.
Right.
So when you rent a card for a whole season, even before the season rentals are out, but when you rent a card for X amount of time, you have less worry about it getting canceled after 2 days so that somebody can
Exactly.
change the
Yep.
price. So I feel like that security is definitely going to be good on the renter side, even though it might cost them a little bit more. On the people who are renting the cards out, like pretty much every card that I own is rented out. I have a few that I've got delegated from my rental account to my main account because I'm playing them. But mostly, like I have Holazor's wild cards because he plays modern, and I don't really have any cards. I sold all of my cards into SPS when SPS hit four
Jeez.
cents because I believe in the token. And I was also like butting up against. I was playing in high gold, starting to get into diamond, and it was like, okay, in order for me to actually get competitive at diamond, I'm going to have to spend like 3 times as much as my deck is currently worth, and I
It's
just
no
can't
joke.
do that.
Yeah, it's no joke.
So I was just like, okay, well, do I be stagnant for a while? Do I take a risk and make a big move? Or do I, just try and continue to push into diamond? And I did not really want to do that latter one. So I was like, all right, let's be ballsy. Let's go all out. And so I listed every single card that I owned,
That's wild.
and I ended up quadrupling my stack of staked SPS. And this was all before GLX happened and whatnot. So overall, it's not been bad for me.
Yeah,
I definitely wish I had some more GLX, but
sure.
just continuously restaking that and getting there and enjoying that. And then whatever cards I do have that are not max level, I've got them all rented out. And honestly, like I've not exactly this, but I've been calling for something along these lines for a long time. Like in order to get the flywheel working, what we need is not one time massive burns of DEC. What we need is absolutely not DECB causing more inflation to DEC. And all of this land stuff, it's great, but it's not going to get us there because it's one time thing. What we need in order to actually kick that flywheel in and keep it going is a consistent DEC burn. And so what I was actually pushing for is let's have an extra 0.5% fee on all of those transactions and burn that. That way, it's not coming out of the team's pocket or anything like that. It's just like a little bit added on. Not really going to cause that much pain to anybody, and just burn it, and that way we have a consistent burn going for DEC. So very similar with the one DEC. It does interact a little bit differently with those lower rentals like zero point 0.1
Sure.
DEC. But the thing I like about it too, and a lot of people have not really understood this, is that like as long as your card keeps getting rented out, you're only paying that one DEC once. If it sits
Right.
idle for 30 days, then it will get canceled and you'd have to pay to relist it. But as long as it gets rented once in that 30 days, when it comes off rental, that 30 days starts again. And so, and for those of us, like my cards are already on the market, I don't have to pay to relist them as long as they
Yep.
keep getting rented. And so it's going to stop a lot of these machinations of trying to undercut other people to get your cards rented and then trying to maximize the prices when they start to move. I feel like there will be a big shakeup to the market
Yeah.
right after, in the probably between March 7th and early April. We'll see a big shakeup in the market, and then prices are going to stabilize, and they're going to change very slowly from that point forward. And I feel like that's also going to help to kind of deal with the kind of seesawing of prices between the beginning of the season and the end of the season. And also, season rentals are going to be coming along with it as well. So I feel like that's also going to be a whole lot better. And hopefully they come out together. Like, I don't want to see this one DEC fee go in and then, we don't get the season rentals until June or whatever. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they're going to drop together at the same time. But if not, I mean, it's still. I feel like overall, it's going to be a positive change. It's going to take a little while for a lot of people to see it, but I feel
Mhm.
like it is a step in the right direction. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think they're making the right decisions. I think some people pushed back on them, but what I've noticed is they're finally starting to slowly make some decisions that are, hey, let's actually help people who are playing the game, right? And
Yeah,
I think for a
absolutely.
long time, a lot of the decisions have been made by whales who don't play the game anymore. They just simply list out their cards for rentals or scholarships or whatever. And then you have the flip side where these massive bot farms are are on the other side, and like it's like these, the war between these two sides, and like players are just completely left out of
Yeah,
that box.
absolutely.
And
Like that's
so
a great way to describe it
yeah.
too, because like yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's been a tug and a push and pull between the massive bot farms and the massive whales, and yeah, the little guys in the middle that are actually here because we love the game are kind of just caught in between those two and been pulled back and forth, and there's been very little actual consideration for us. But it does feel like that is changing. I love the fact that they're focusing on the new player experience a little bit more now.
Hmm.
The way that
Yep.
they've created all of these nifty decks is definitely a step in the right direction. The changes that they're making to the rating adjustments, I feel, is a step in the right direction. I know there's been some pushback about that too, but I feel like it's absolutely the way that we need to be going. I feel like one of the issues that really still needs to be addressed is the RNG seeding, but that's well, that's just me.
That's a whole nother can of worms right there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what is your general philosophy like when you are getting rewards? Not necessarily the
Hmm.
soulbound reward cards, because obviously you have very few options with that. But are you more into staking, hodling, putting into liquidity pools, reinvesting into cards, or keeping
Yeah.
some liquid, pulling profits? Like when you are earning SPS, what do you tend to do with it?
Yeah. So basically, what I've done across all these games now is I've changed my mindset of, it used to be when everyone got to the space like, oh, we're all gonna be rich, we're all gonna be whales, we're here so early, yada yada, like the very bull narrative, and that still might happen for some, right? But I think I've shifted back more to the focus of I feel more of a gamer than an investor. So for me, it's, am I having fun in the game and do I believe in the game itself? Not, hey, I
Sounds
want
like
to
you've been
find
studying
assets
Dwayne.
that I haven't, but I like a lot of what he has to say. So sure, yeah, I don't mind that comparison. But like I'm not like a lot of people look into NFTs in these games like I want to hold assets that are speculative that I think have a chance to 10x, 100x, blah blah blah, right? And so for me, basically with the Splinterlands within this last year, there was a point where obviously I made that rant video. I was kind of frustrated with the game. And at that point, what I decided to do is I'm not really enjoying this game anymore. I'm not liking the direction it is. I'm gonna pull out a little bit. Not I'm gonna pull out everything. But what I started doing at that time, just because I wasn't enjoying it, is I sold a large chunk of my SPS, started selling some cards, just moved it into HBD, on the Hive blockchain. Like I'm not wasn't moving it to my bank account or anything like that. But I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna hold it in stable coins, see what happens. If I like things, in a couple months and I get some changes going, then maybe we'll pick things back up and see where it goes, right? And so that's been my approach. And I think these last couple months, the last month or two, I'm like, okay, I'm actually liking the changes, kind of like what we talked about, right? New player experience. We got some soulbound reward cards, which I've been enjoying. I know there's been, a lot of complaints and pushback, but I think it's more fun that I get to earn my cards instead of just, hey, I have to buy this max level card off the market, like, then it makes opening up chests so boring. So yeah, basically what I've been doing is using that stable coin that I had saved to the side, been buying those, diamond level cards when I feel some good deals are out there. And then any rewards I'm getting from either my account or the scholarship account, I've basically just been rebuilding my SPS stack back up. So I haven't been doing anything crazy with it. I've just been staking it for the most time. Maybe if there's a really good deal I see on something, then maybe I'll transfer the SPS into something else like DEC. But most of the time, I'm just like, cool, got some more SPS. Let's take it. Like whatever.
Cool, cool.
I haven't been. I haven't been playing the huge meta game or trying to mastermind anything. It's just yeah, I'm enjoying the game and I'm gonna stake my rewards and wherever it goes, it goes. You know.
Yeah, everything that comes to me staked is staying staked. The only time I've ever unstaked any SPS was right before Rift Watchers because I wanted to get in on that pre-sale, and well, that was a mistake because I got my 50 packs to get my guaranteed Usher, and then I didn't get Usher because I was 30 seconds too late. Yeah, fun.
Ouch. Feels bad.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is, and I'm still planning to attack the pre-sale on Rebellion and try and get my one guaranteed copy of that. Hopefully, it's at 50 packs again. If it's more than that, then we'll be hurting. But I'll try and make it happen. But overall, like whenever the SPS that I'm earning off of my stake, like all the liquid SPS, that's going into liquidity pools because I'm absolutely loving the returns on the LPs. So that's kind of why I put that out
why
there
not?
and see what other people are doing. Because there's so many options, and it's not like any of them are bad. Like there's good reasons to do any given thing. So and it's all kind of personal taste as well.
That's totally, and that's one of the interesting things about these play to earn Web3 games. And what I criticized for Splinterlands of focusing too much on the economy a few months ago. There is a point to, for some people, that is the game, right? Like the card game is kind of the game, but for some people, like the game is just what you said. Like I want to figure out what's going to give it the better return. Is it the liquidity pool? Is it trading back and forth between SPS and DEC? Is it stacking cards or flipping cards? Like a lot of those people, and I enjoy those things sometimes, but not to the extent that some people like. For them, like that's really actually the draw for
Yeah,
them is
and
that whole
absolutely,
economy
and
part.
I mean, I'm glad to have those guys here too because they're still contributing to the ecosystem. But at the same time, like I'm definitely on the side of the argument that we don't need more investors, we need more players. And
For
so
sure.
we need to, fix the game, get rid
Yep.
of like the issues that are plaguing the actual gameplay. That's where our focus needs to be. I'm not saying don't do anything for the economy. Absolutely not. That's all important. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
like don't focus on fixing that stuff. I mean, we do need it as well, but yeah, like the focus really needs to be on gameplay and
Yep.
drawing new players. And again, so glad that we're doing the nifty stuff and the new player experience and whatnot. But I'm glad that you actually just hit on you said play to earn and Web3, and obviously being Luke plays to earn. I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but it is
Oh, do
one of
you?
my standard questions for the series. So, where do you fall in this whole Web3 play to earn, play and earn, like the naming convention? Because there has been a lot of pushback against play to earn. So, I just
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
wanted to feel out your thoughts on that matter.
Yeah, it's funny because I ask that question all the time to while I'm interviewing games at Balthazar. For me personally, I've thought about changing my name plenty of times. I'm just too lazy. I actually, yeah, yeah, I actually changed my YouTube name just to Krill Gaming, but it's still the same on Twitter, just because that's how people know me. I'm like, do I want to change it? I don't know. Like, does it really matter? So, yeah, I mean, I use Web3 gaming most often, even though I don't know if that's even the best term for it. I feel like that's kind of just a catch-all term.
Yeah.
For me, play to earn has become a thing within inside of Web3 gaming that it's its own thing. And people, as you said, they're having debates all over the place. Is play to earn dead? Is it the main part? I see those Twitter arguments all the time, and it feels like people are just talking over the top of each other and defining play to earn in completely different ways. So to me, play to earn is something like Splinterlands where it does have a really robust economy, and maybe I wouldn't even call it play to earn is the best term, but there's aspects of like, yes, you can play to earn the tokens. There's lots of liquidity pools. There's lots of DeFi, and that's one of the main focuses. It doesn't have to be the main focus, but it is one of the main focuses. Whereas other games are like, we're not even gonna have a crypto token. We just have NFT skins, and that's it. That's our Web3 blockchain element.
Yeah, there's
I would
definitely a
not I would not
separation
call that
there.
play to earn, right? Like that can't be the same category. So I think play to earn is still viable. I wouldn't say, like some of these people are like, oh, it's completely dead and just a complete scam. It's like, no, but it's probably going to be a niche thing. Like, I don't see like the whole gaming world being like, I want to come in and learn about DeFi and liquidity pools. Like, that's not realistic. Like, most people are not going to care about that, right? They're playing Fortnite. They don't want to learn about finance, So,
Although at the same time, I mean,
uh,
there are a lot of people that are making a lot of money on Fortnite by flipping those skins and whatnot. So like that is a crowd that I would like to attract
on
because
Fortnite, huh?
yeah,
How do you flip skins on Fortnite? You just selling accounts, you
I
mean?
don't know anything about the game itself, or like I've never played Fortnite, so I cannot give you any kind of specifics. But
Okay.
like I know that there
I
is a huge content creation community around them, and also I believe that there are people that are like flipping the skins in there and whatnot, even though they're not NFTs, but they are like transferable,
Sure.
and it's
Yeah, and
just
that's
like
the same thing in CS:GO and World of Warcraft and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I would argue that's probably a niche portion of that population, which again, yeah, as you said, would be great to get into Splinterlands. But I don't think the majority of the billions of gamers out there are going to be wanting to come in specifically for the economy side. They're more there for,
for
I
the
just
game, yeah,
want some
absolutely.
entertainment. I want something to do, and who cares about the earnings?
Yeah, and that's again goes back to that we need players, not investors, because we need people that are here for the game that may or may not be super interested in the economy side of things, but they're still going to be part of it because that's how it goes. But at the same time, like yeah, if someone's entire point of being in the game is to extract as much value as possible, a la bot farms, then that is overall it's a net negative for the game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think if we can get to the game to a place where all these players who are playing Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, that is really in my mind, what should be the target audience. And if you can convince those people to say, hey, instead of playing your, online TCG, come play Splinterlands, like, and you get to own your stuff, like, I think that would be a big win.
Yeah, that's actually one of the big things that got me into Splinterlands to begin with is like I love Magic the Gathering, but COVID hit and all of a sudden it's impossible to play Magic the Gathering anywhere, and I
Right.
refused to get involved in Magic Online because I've had friends that for whatever reason lost their account, lost their password, got banned, blah blah
Yep.
blah, any number of different reasons, and they've put in hundreds or possibly thousands of dollars buying these cards and then they get nothing out of it. It's like
Yep.
no, that's not okay with me. Like with
Right.
Magic, I mean, I have over the past few months I've sold almost all of my cards. I've kept all of my decks and whatnot, kept them intact, but like 15,000 extra cards that I had just taken up room in my closet, like I sold all
Right.
of that
Yeah.
to help pay rent and whatnot. And the fact that I could do that, awesome. And that's also I have been selling off some Splinterlands assets to to cover the bills because as you said, like it gone full time
Yeah.
content and it's not quite paying all the bills right now
Yeah.
to like actually get some sponsorships going. But
Yeah.
yeah, like DJ Bagman said in the chat, I'm here for the true asset ownership. Like I love the game. The game is awesome. Is it quite as good as Magic the Gathering? I would say no on that, but it's really close.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
the fact that I can play it anytime I want, anywhere I want. I literally just whip out my
Right.
phone, play a game, and it takes 5 minutes. Or the fact that I can come
Yeah.
home, sit down, load up the stream, and
Right.
go for a couple of hours.
Well,
Um,
and Magic has had what, like 25 years, 20-ish years to work on their game, like
Yeah, yeah, actually
they've
going
had
on 30
quite the
now. It
head
came out in
start. Yeah.
1993. I've been playing since
Sheesh.
1994. Like it's an old game and
Dang.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean they're having their problems too. Like Hasbro is really fucking things up. Hasbro is really fucking things up with D&D, with Magic the Gathering, just anything. Like they're fucking
Yeah.
some shit
Oh
up,
yeah.
but we'll see how things
Big
come out
time.
with
Big
that.
time.
Speaking of fucking things up, how about that BFF proposal? What are your thoughts on
What
that?
was the BFF proposal? Give me. I'm
20
trying to
million
remember which one that is.
20 million SPS from the DAO being set aside for listings, but there's no information regarding those listings, purportedly because of NDAs and whatnot, but also like,
Sure.
I mean, I'm not opposed to us being listed. I'm not opposed to us paying to be listed. I don't want to. I don't want to touch Binance. I don't. I feel like Binance is going down, so I definitely don't want us to be spending X number of million SPS to be listed on Binance as it's dying. But like
Really, you think
overall,
Binance is dying?
I
Wow.
do. I do.
Wow.
Um, honestly, and every
That would
centralized
be
exchange,
crazy.
like they're dropping like flies, and so that's kind of one of my big things about that is like I don't want to be, boarding a sinking ship, especially not if we have to pay for it.
Sure.
Like it,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. As I said, like when I took a step back from Splinterlands for a little bit, it's like I feel like I'm still very heavily involved in playing and interacting with friends in the community. But it's like once you're out of the belly of the beast, what I realize is just like, man, it was so much effort to constantly care about all these little things and proposals and town halls and stuff like that. I'm just like, for me personally, now I'm like, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the attention right now to really care about a proposal like that. And so for me, I'm like, there's plenty of other people who are keeping track of things really well and really passionate about it, and I'm sure are doing a great job. But like, I just don't. I just don't have enough info or knowledge or I guess even care right now to go out and really figure out the issue behind that and make a vote. I don't know if it really matters to me, honestly.
fair enough. And I mean, as someone who is involved in the game and cares deeply about its future, I do have an opinion on it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
which is
not
great.
one of
As I
the
said, like I'm not
investors.
saying it's not an important issue. I'm saying it's great that other people in the community care. I just, yeah, I mean that's great that you are.
Yeah, no,
Like,
and
man,
I
I
mean,
don't have
but
to.
like, there's plenty of people who care a lot more than I do. Like
Yeah,
the people who are mostly investors and less players, they've got a much more intense opinion on the situation, shall we say? And I'm not quite there. Like I've kind of got a loosely formed opinion, and like I've had a couple of issues with the proposal, and I've brought things up, but at the
yeah,
same time, like I'm always willing to have my mind changed. Um, so it's like six of one, half a dozen of the other. It's not going to really bother me if they come out with another proposal for it or something like that. In all honesty, I would not mind seeing another proposal at all. I'm kind of glad that the first one did get defeated in pre-proposal stage, just because there was so little information, and that was kind of like the first issue that I had was, well, who the hell is BFF? Because when that proposal came out, I had never heard of them literally at all.
sure, yeah,
I was like, when I first saw it in the proposal, I was like, what are we talking about best friends forever for? Um, and then then on the town hall, Aggie
oh
introduced
god,
Ali, and we found out that he was Ali has been in the game for over 3 years as an OG and whatnot. They shared the investments and what BFF holds and whatnot, and so like that kind of relaxed me on that front a little bit, knowing more about them. But then there is also the issue of there's no kind of information whatsoever in the proposal. And I understand as well that
yeah,
that kind of came out because of the NDAs and whatnot. But even that is still not like fully,
right. Well,
comprehensive, because
yeah,
that's the way that the vast majority of deals are done. Well, if it's the vast majority, that means that there are some that are not done that way. And, so like I'm not against the idea of it. I'm just kind of against the way that it was, proposed, the lack of information, and the fact that like they can't share anything
yeah.
about what
Well, even if it makes sense in this scenario, as you're saying with the NDA stuff, it's not like Splinterlands has the best track record with proposals, right? Like, I think this is a complaint many people have had that they're always putting out proposals of different things with very little information or like a plan behind it. It's just like, hey, should we do this? And it's like, whoa, hold on, guys. Like, what does this
Yeah.
even mean? Like, or like, you don't even have a plan for this yet. Like, why are we doing this? So
Yeah.
it's hard when I think people saw that happen often, and now their trust levels aren't as high as they used to be.
And that's why I think the whole community leader thing was a pretty good idea. I campaigned pretty hard on that. Unfortunately, I did not make it, but hopefully in the
Who
future
ended up
they'll consider me.
getting picked? Do you know?
There was Simsahas, Moriarty, Gene Pool Chlorinator. Um, who were the other two? Give me a moment. I can.
Sounds
Pull
like
it up.
mostly people that were probably bigger into the Discord space than
Yeah, and all
content
Mavs,
creators.
and pretty much none of them that are actually players. Like, and also like I was the only one
Classic.
that was in the final round. You know how they dropped it to 10, and then they picked 5 out of those 10. I was the only one in those 10 that's a Splinterlands TV streamer or a content creator in general. So I felt like, I had a pretty good
That is
shot, and I had
shocking.
a whole lot of support from the Splinterlands TV community. And again, shout out to all y'all. Thank you very much for that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but
Was this just a popular vote? Was this just a
yeah.
Splinter's team chose people, or how did these people get voted in?
No, it was there was a straw poll where you could vote for 5 people, and then out of that straw poll, the top 10 names moved on to the second round, and then everybody got to vote for one, and it was the top 5 names there that got chosen.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised a creator or Splinterlands TV member didn't get picked because that seems like a no-brainer to have at least one person
Right?
that's has a face for the community out there.
But I mean, it is what it
Uh,
is. That's whatever's whatever. It's fine.
sure.
But
Yeah, yeah.
thankfully they did say that it's not like a Supreme Court nomination or anything like that. It's not a for life type of
Right.
thing. So
Sure.
there's a possibility for moving on, but and it's not like I'm gonna stop advocating what all of
Sure.
the proposals mean and whatnot. But I got the list pulled up with Simsahas, Gene Pool Chlorinator, Moriarty 95, Dave McCoy, and Schneegecko.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Dave McCoy is an obvious choice. He's
Yeah,
always
Dave and Gene
been there
Pool,
interactive.
I'm
That makes a lot of
100%
sense.
behind. Like they're great, and they belong on there. But like even Dwayne was one of the 10, and I felt like he was he was a shoe in, and I'm very
Right.
surprised to not see him on this list. But apparently, 3 of the 5 are all in the same guild, and there's a
Mm.
couple of bot farm runners as well. So like I feel like there might have been some shenaniganery involved, but it is what it is.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
So are you
Uh,
involved in? Well, you are on other web chains because of Balthazar, right? So what is your favorite non-Hive
yeah.
project?
See that's the funny thing. I was gonna bring this up earlier when we were talking about the other Hive games. It's so interesting that outside of the Splinterlands world, it's like Hive is just not recognized or talked about whatsoever. Like it's not that we don't want to connect or cover these games, but like no one cares about Hive. Like I don't I don't know why.
I don't get it either.
It's
It's
kind of
probably because it
interesting
was
that
it was like introduced and built as a social networking platform rather than a gaming platform. And
yeah,
so like we don't
maybe.
have the same kind of capabilities as like Gala or Immutable or Polygon or whatnot. Like those things
Yeah,
can get a lot more coding intensive and graphically intensive and
sure.
provide closer to a AAA gaming experience that we really don't have to offer on Hive, and yet the community on Hive I feel is stronger than any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. Outside of have like I don't know why people get this way, but like some people are just like such a specific blockchain enthusiast and like they're like a fanboy or fangirl or whatever of like only Solana or only ETH or only BNB whatever. To me, I don't really care. Like, it's like if my game works, it's a good game, and the blockchain isn't getting in the way of that and just functioning the way it should. Great. Like, I don't care if a game is on Immutable or Polygon. It doesn't matter to me. It is annoying if it's like ETH and I'm paying 5-10 bucks every time I want to do
Yep,
something. But
that's
other
the
than
one.
that,
That's the one. It's like
right,
I don't want to mess with ETH because I
right,
can't afford to be paying gas fees like that. So
right. And
like
most games are moving off of it. Like basically any top game is moving off of it. Or what they'll do is they'll have, hey, here's our main like collector's edition that's on ETH. But now all of the rest of our game stuff is moving to Immutable or Polygon or whatever, some layer two.
speaking of ETH, do you have a
Yeah.
Rooney?
No, I don't. Don't have a Rooney, don't have a Lux. That was part of my frustration days where I'm like, I'm not putting any more money in the game.
Fair
I'm
enough.
tired of these like max BCX cards because I'm not playing him now. I'm playing in max diamond, but back then I was like mostly playing in silver and gold. I'm like, why would I need a max BCX card when I'm playing in silver? Like
Yeah.
it
I
was just kind of frustrating.
I don't own either, but I have a Lux from Jim. When he got his
Nice,
two
nice.
Luxes, like we had already made a plan that I was renting one of them long term, and so I've been renting a Lux from him ever since. Well, not since he got them, because since he pulled the double gold, he had to change one of them into a regular, and
Poor
yeah,
guy.
poor guy. Yeah, and then I have a Rooney from Darkest Night. Actually, one time I hopped on chat with him and Aftersound on Splinterlands TV, and when he heard that I had not had a chance to play with a Rooney, he was like, "Wait, you never played with a Rooney?" And like
No,
literally
me
just
neither.
while we're there on
Yeah.
the call, he delegates me a Rooney, and I'm like, "Well, thanks." And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have that until the end of season." This was 3 months ago.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
still playing Rooney almost every game. Thank you,
Yeah.
Darkest Night. You are awesome.
That's awesome. That's funny because I don't feel like I get beat by Rooney that often. Like I don't feel like it's a game changing card, really.
I mean, it's
In
not
some scenarios it's good.
super powerful, but it's definitely not weak. Like it's not an every single game type of card. It's not like kitty level power or anything like that. But when it's the right card to use, there's nothing that even comes close. And there are
Yeah.
definitely games that I have won because of Rooney that I probably would have lost with any other usage of that 6 mana. So
Yeah.
he's
Fair.
definitely powerful, and especially at the higher leagues, like you get that the reflection shield on him,
I
and
was
he
just about to
becomes
say that.
so much more useful.
Right. I was just about to say the most annoying thing about not participating in a lot of these promos. It seems like a lot of the newer promos and stuff all have reflection shield. So I'm like, and all these blast metas or your rule sets stuff like that. I'm just like, oh my gosh, why does everyone have all this reflection shield and I have whatever Kinjo or whatever it is, like the one card that
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
has it.
other than Rooney, I got Kinjo and Tidebiter, and that's it. Like that's it. I am looking forward to getting a few more BCX of Phyrexian Hero for that, because I don't know. So yeah, with the Soulbound cards, what's your favorite cards? What's your favorite combination? What are you
Mm.
most looking forward to getting? What do you not
Ah,
have?
yeah. So in Diamond, it's a little tricky because I don't feel like most of them are leveled up enough to really make a difference. So there's only a few cards that I feel like I have leveled enough to really make use of. One of them is I do enjoy the Marty cards because it doesn't feel like you need to level them up to really have use. Basically, you want them to die anyways, right?
Yeah,
So it's like
Martyr is definitely
almost
the strongest use for one
right.
BCX even at higher
It's
levels.
it's almost like I want this card to be weak, so it dies early. So there's lots of combinations where I'll try to, especially like there's an enrage, right? And you got like Pelacor Bandit that already has flying and insane speed. You get a Marty next to him and he dies, and it's like, whoa, now he's just freaking like 13 speed,
Yeah.
with enrage or something like that.
My
So
favorite one that I've pulled off is I got Lob Lowland for fairly early, and also Fungus Slinger. And so I managed to, in an opportunity rule set, I put Runemancer Flore and Quora in the back line with
yep,
Fungus Slinger
yep.
in between them, and managed to get that Martyr onto both of them in round one. And yeah, that was definitely that was definitely pretty fun.
Yeah, I am trying to think of other ones that I've even made good use of yet. I think Swamp Spitter, just because Kelia already has so much healing and shielding, is like another shield card. It's like sometimes it's just unbeatable
Yeah.
because you have so much repair,
I
especially in
like Swamp
Diamond.
Spitter. I haven't had much chance to use him, but so I actually one of the first combinations that I pulled, or one of the first things I really wanted to use, is I got the Idri Fire and the Phyrexian Hero, both in fire, the Epic and the Weapons Training
Hmm.
Legendary, and so I reached Diamond. On Wild on my main account towards the end of the season, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and switch over to modern so that I can play in bronze and
Nice.
test these out. And I actually wasn't in bronze; I was in silver 3. But they carried me in over the course of 4 hours of gameplay live on stream.
Really?
They carried me all the way up into diamond. And so last season was the first
Wow.
time I ever
Dang.
finished diamond in both leagues, and
That's
I
wild.
I made a Hive blog about it. So you should I'll drop the link for you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should go
Do
and
it.
check that out, and it's got all of the teams that I used are
Yeah, I'll
all
give
actually
you
made as decks on Peak Monsters, and
I'll give you my like third of a cent vote. Maybe not even that. Maybe it's like a
I
tenth
mean, it
of
doesn't even matter anymore that it's already closed, but it's
that.
still like good information. And
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
but yeah, no, I'm being a lot better about posting on the Hive blog and whatnot, trying
Smart,
to make
smart.
more content there, trying to get more actual videos up on YouTube rather than just my live stream replays and whatnot. And so I'm definitely having a lot
That's
of fun with
that's
it.
great. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the cards here of what I got. I think part of my problem is on my main account. I know my Scholar one's a little bit different, but on my main account, I literally have no legendaries still whatsoever.
Ouch.
Not a regular foil or a gold foil.
I've
Uh,
gotten 3 total so far. I've got 2 BCX of
yeah,
the Phyrexian Hero, and I got 1 of the Snock Dustblight. And I've
I
only got 3
will.
of the Epics, and thankfully it's Idri Fire and Will-O-Wisp. So I do have 2 of the Weapons Trainer
Okay.
and No Attack combinations from the rewards. And then the
Yeah,
other Epic that I got is the Clock, and burn the Clock.
yeah.
I hate the Clock
I was
now.
gonna say I was gonna say the clock is the only other one that I've been using because that swiftness is
Yeah,
so
and I
key.
mean, I'm not gonna say I haven't been using them because I do run those speed teams so often, but I'm so disappointed in what he is versus what he was and what he could have been. Like, I
Oh, was he
understand
nerfed?
that
I
the
didn't see.
original spoiled version was way too powerful, but they
Okay,
should
I
have
didn't see
kept
that.
the swiftness and the slow and gotten rid of everything else. I wouldn't care if it was 6 mana, 1 health, no armor, swiftness and slow, no attack. I'd be good with that. Like, just give me swiftness
Yeah,
and slow on the same card. I don't care how bad it is aside from that. I will run it.
right. Yeah, the only other ones that I mean, I'm stoked to get all of them because every card can be useful in certain scenarios. But the ones for my main account, I'm mostly looking for the summoners, and I know they're not super powerful. But even if I can get them to a gold level, then I'm not having to rent out like because I only have 2 splinter summoners. I'm renting out usually 2 or 3 more to just kind of fill things out. And so it'd be nice if I just had summoners for every splinter, even if they're not the strongest. So like at least I can win a match or two here in ranked. And the frustrating part, right, is that my scholar account, I've pulled both in one pull, the green one into level 4 automatically,
Oh
and
wow.
the death one into level 5. But on my own account, I'm like still all level 1 and 2 summoners for those guys.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a
crazy.
little
I
bit of a
actually
bummer.
today I just got 2 copies of Lob Lowland in gold foil, and so I was able
Yeah,
to get him to level 3. That's my first level 3 summoner.
that's super nice.
That
I don't
Oz.
know if you had this experience, but like for me, it seems like almost the regular foils are worthless because the amount you need, like at least playing in diamond and gold, like it just seems like all my gold foil cards, even though they're harder to get, are gonna level up so much faster.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand that. And I've been like gold is the best way to go for a while has been kind of my thing. Like before I sold all my cards, like I was always in the gold only brawls and whatnot because like I the only cards I would buy in regular foil would be legendaries, and that's just because the gold foils are
Interesting.
so expensive. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
gold is absolutely the way to go. In fact, the very first Hive blog article that I ever made was 5 reasons why you should be buying more gold foil cards. Like, I
Nice.
it's absolutely gold is the way to go, and I don't understand how like some people are just like, oh, I sell all of my golds to level everything else up, and it's like, I guess on the one hand that does make sense because they are worth more, and so if that's your biggest focus is just building a diamond level deck, then
Right.
go for that. But that's how I got up into my gold deck. Was it was all mostly max silver, a little bit that was above max silver, a bit that was below max silver, but all kind of within that range, but it was all gold foils. And so also doing the gold only tournaments and gold only brawls, super helpful to be in that position. And then you know SPS hit 4 cents, and I was like, all right, it's time to make a move. So
Yeah, I think most people do it, and I've done this too. It's just the way that the rewards are set up. It's like, okay, I can get 50% more rewards in silver, and it still doesn't compare to, being regular foil, low tier, and diamond. Like the reward structure, if you're looking at it that way, just in ranked at least, doesn't add up. So if you can push a gold foil deck into gold though or diamond, like then yeah, you're killing it.
yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Was gold foil in gold, and it was like it was pretty sweet because yeah, on any given game, I'm earning an additional 30 to 50% of rewards just for playing the gold foil cards. And then but yeah, as I was looking at pushing up into diamond, that's when it was like, okay, this is just it's not sustainable for me. Who could at that point I was putting in $10-20 a week or every other week or whatever, and it's like at that point, if you can't drop 3-4 digits at once, then moving from gold into diamond with
Yeah.
gold foils is
Yep. Yep.
ridiculously difficult. But
Yep.
definitely trying to start rebuilding and whatnot. Like one of the things I did before everything got cut off from the old reward cards is I got all of the commons max level in gold. Even if I wasn't playing in diamond, it's like let's go ahead and do this
Mhm.
now while it's
Right.
cheap, and it's pretty good. And then like I'm working on some of the others like Merdampier. I've got max level gold, and just keep going
Nice.
with all of the
Yeah. Yeah.
cheap stuff, and then working up into some of the more expensive as well. And I've actually, have you been messing around with the Peak Monsters Dex feature at all?
No, not really. I've seen some good features come in. I just haven't had the time to really look through everything and make use of it myself yet.
One of my favorite things about that is that it kind of groups whatever cards you want into basically a price list. And so I've got a bunch of the cards that I've got my eyes on. I've just made a deck with them in it,
Nice.
so that I can, rather than having to go through and individually check prices and whatnot, just like check it every day and wait until one of those numbers drops significantly, and then just pew,
Smart.
pick it
Smart.
up. And it's gonna, I feel like that's gonna make life a whole lot easier, especially for new players coming in.
Oh
Like
yeah.
along with the
Totally.
nifty and the additions or the changes to the ranking system and whatnot. I feel like the Peak Monsters deck system is also one of those major boons to
Yep.
new
Yep.
players that are coming in, and so I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that grows and seeing those go. And then
Yep.
also they have the Peak Monsters Pro. So when your decks start getting popular, then you'll kind of get some kind of subsidization from Peak Monsters themselves. And I cannot believe how much kind of negative feedback I've seen on decks from like some of the features that would like to be added and whatnot. But it's like Jarvie just dropped this on. There was no promise of oh, we're coming out with something in 6 months, and
Right.
there was no hype beforehand. It was just all of a sudden, hey, I'm gonna make a tour of all the Splinterlands TV streamers so I can get the word out about this thing that I just did. And it's amazing. It's so useful to us. It's got so much potential. And like, yeah, are there features that could be added? Are there other ways to filter things that would be beneficial and whatnot? Yes, but at the same
Sure.
time,
Sure.
like, who cares? It's like FOMO February. There's so many people complaining about the way things are done. It's like they're literally giving out 400 legendary cards for free. Why are you complaining?
Oh my gosh.
And the people who like aren't winning, okay, well, yeah, I understand. You can complain about your luck. I mean, I've been literally in there 24/7. And obviously not always active. I do sleep sometimes, but like I'm in there all the time. I enter a lot of those giveaways, and I haven't won very much at all. That's just the luck of the draw. I'm not saying that it's not fair. There's definitely some people who are luckier than others. Some people that are pulling,
Sure, I mean, that's gonna
10
happen.
plus
Yeah,
times, and sometimes, yeah, it's kind of frustrating to watch that happen. But at the same time, like that's just the luck of the draw. It's like
yeah.
some people
Where
win the
you are.
lottery 3 times. That's just the luck of the draw. But it's not. It doesn't make it unfair. It's anything perfect with RNG and a computer? No.
No, of course not.
But it's still, it's not like we're, picking people. Ron developed a tool specifically for it to happen to make sure that things are fair. And the only rule on how streamers can give away the cards is it has to go through the giveaway tool to ensure that it's fair. Some people
Right.
like I just do off the giveaway tool immediately. Some people use the giveaway tool. They draw 20 names and then they run it through, the death blow that Axler has invented, which is a really cool tool and it's really fun and whatnot. I personally don't like having that added layer of RNG. So, I'll use death blow for giveaways at another time in another way. I don't do it for FOMO
Sure.
because I'd rather just, do the giveaway tool that picks your name. Then there you go. You're in. But if I'm going to do the death blow, then I'm not going to do RNG to get in. I'm going to do like a grubfish. Bang play. Your name is on the list. I'll copy that list over, put it into the death blow. We'll go from there. I love the tool for that. I love what it does, but I don't feel like it's actually necessary to add on to that. However, it is a little after 7 now. I know you said that that was about time for you to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you a few minutes to drop your socials, let everyone know where they can find you, talk about whatever you would like to, and yeah, Mike is yours, sir.
Oh man, you want me to talk about that? Yeah, no, I mean, as I said earlier, my main content now is just my job with Balthazar. So really, if you want to find most of the stuff I'm doing, you can still look at my own channel, but like it's far and few between when I'm posting, and it's more casual videos, just kind of me spitting out random thoughts I had over the week or two. So you can find that on Krill Gaming. But yeah, if you want to see, you can just type in YouTube Balthazar Gaming, Balthazar NFT Gaming. You'll see us cover all different types of, from TCGs to FPS, MMO. Like, doesn't matter what kind of game. If it's Web3, we're going to be talking about it. How many lines to kill a live stream? Well, I think I'm still like 1,500 short of 10K, so maybe 1,500. That's my price tag.
Wow, that's I mean, it's a cheap card, but that's a lot. That's a pretty steep price.
Well, I didn't say I was being fair about it. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Luke_P2E, but I don't post too often. So yeah, Balthazar is probably the easiest way to see my stuff. Mostly I've just been spending my time learning coding right now. It's kind of my side hobby, so my own content creation's been a little bit less, but been doing a little bit of that just on little YouTube shorts and TikToks on my coding channel now for fun, just as a way to engage. So yeah,
when you have that ready for playtest, hit me up. I definitely want to run through it and have some fun. We can do another little.
Yeah, I've paused on the game for now just because it's just a text-based game I was doing mostly to practice, and so what I've realized is like, okay, I didn't learn enough beforehand that it became like the more I started adding, the more of a mess it became. So I'm like, okay, I want to go back and learn more now and then redo some of the things. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. I'll get a game out.
You heard it here first. Luke is working on text modernization.
No, one of my tweets a couple weeks ago was I did a tutorial building Pong, and so my joke
I
was
saw that. You,
I
you made a
created a new
three-player
game.
Pong, right?
Yeah, I made a 3-player Pong. NFTs are coming if anyone wants to buy
He only wants singles, Bagman. He
them.
only wants singles. We know that.
No, yeah, it's gotta be singles. It's gotta be singles, DJ. Because I gotta see the number 10K lines. It can't just be in BCX. So that's the real thing. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for having me on. It was fun and
My
always a
pleasure.
good time chatting. Yeah.
I
What
definitely.
else you got coming up this week?
Well, I've got Bebe Omega coming on for off the cuff interviews next week. Here next month on the 8th, I'm going to be on the People's Guild. So we're gonna have some fun with that. I've got a special guest coming on tomorrow night on my personal stream, and tomorrow morning in 13 hours from now, I'll be on Splinterlands TV, and I'm trying to get
Heck yeah.
Weirdbeard on. So anybody who's
Ooh.
got him on Discord or whatnot, you should drop him a line and put a bug in his ear that he should come on
Spam
for.
'em.
Yeah, yeah. Come on and join us. I've been trying to get him on for a while, and
He
definitely
usually
always good time.
usually jumps on. He doesn't always respond right away, but he's usually
Oh yeah, no,
willing
I've
to
had
jump
him
on.
on before, and it's always a good discussion and whatnot. And he's doing some great work. I'm very excited about some of the things that he's
Yeah.
working on. Were you part of the roundtable discussions?
I unfortunately couldn't make it live, but I watched the recording, and I know we're not allowed to share about it, but I was definitely excited about it.
Yeah,
So
I'm yeah very stoked to see what actually comes out of that and when it actually happens. Very excited for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and I know you had some things to do, so I'm gonna let you
yeah,
go. Thank you so much for
yeah,
hanging out. And
yeah.
for
Have a
those
great
in the
weekend.
audience, go ahead and do all of that algorithmic goodness down below. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that stuff. And thank you very much. I will see y'all tomorrow morning at Splinterlands TV. And I will go ahead and post this replay to YouTube as well. And I will have all of Luke's links in the description. So you can go ahead and follow there if you're watching the replay. Thank you very much.
Cool, cool.
Keep kicking